Welcome back to the War Room with Coach JB. Excited to be with you guys on this amazing Wednesday. What is it? August 26, 2026. I want to remind you, this is the last August 26, 2026. 26. That's kind of cool. You're ever going to have. So let's make it an absolutely great day. And I want to be truly honest with you guys why I'm standing up today, because my trainer trained my legs so hard on Monday. My hamstrings keep cramping up. So I got a funny story to tell you guys really quickly. I was in a meeting with my executive team 2 weeks ago, I think it was. And I have this chair now. So we have this new studio, right? And so we'll just start off with a little bit of fun. So we have this new studio and I have this chair and, I'm about just under 5'9", right? So I look like a little kid on this chair. My legs hang. And we train legs really hard on Monday. It's one of my favorite things to train. And on Wednesdays, if anybody knows workouts, on the third day, you're really, really sore. I was on a meeting with the executives and all of a sudden, so we're on, and this shows you they weren't paying attention, first of all, is both of my hamstrings cramped on the desk and I fell down on the ground and they didn't even notice I was gone. And then all of a sudden they're like, JB, did he go to the bathroom? I'm like, I'm down here, guys. I could not get my hamstrings to uncramp. And so anyway, so that's why I'm standing up, because we're about to start the show and they're really sore and my hamstrings are about to cramp. So anyways, you're going to get me standing up. Maybe I'll do the show stand up. Feels kind of good. Anyways, here we are. You came here to the War Room to learn about macro and microeconomics. Again, my name is Coach JB. I've helped over 16,000 people worldwide navigate these macro and microeconomic conditions. I'm also the #1 international best-selling author of the book, The American Nightmare, How Debt and Inflation Stole the American Dream. Thank you guys so much. This book is going viral. And the reason why it's going viral and why it has so many 5-star reviews, because it tells the truth. Pre-1907 all the way to 2026, and within our Capital DR strategy, teach you how the system works. It's really important to understand. So what we're going to talk about today is I'm briefly going to touch on the bond market, what Scott Bessent just did. Then we'll go into a little bit of crypto news, and then I'll kick it over to you guys for your questions. So start loading up your questions here. DU is going to start those questions, and we'll work to answer as many questions as possible. If there's not any questions, then I'm going to go on a tangent, and I'm going to motivate and inspire you guys and tell you guys exactly what I'm doing like I do every single day. So let's go back to last week where Scott Bessent did a Bessent, I always say his name incorrectly, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. He did a bond buyback, an emergency bond buyback, and he doubled his emergency bond buyback. So now this is really important to understand. Now this stuff isn't sexy, it's boring, but you have to understand the bond market. You need to understand what's going on here because it comes down to your kitchen table, okay? So he did emergency buyback. The bond yield responded by going down briefly, and it popped right back up. So I would have to think, putting myself in his shoes and through his lens, is that would freak me out a little bit. I'm like, I did an emergency bond buyback. I doubled my bond buyback and it popped up and went back down. Now, a lot of people, then crypto at the same time started skyrocketing, right? So we had Brian Armstrong, Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, CEO of Coinbase were at the White House with Trump. And so people are saying it's because they've been at the White House so many times, guys. It had to do with the bond market, okay? Now, the beautiful thing about that is because probably, I would say 90% of people that watch my channel are maybe crypto holders or are moving into probably discovering that digital asset, the cryptocurrency assets. The reason why it responded that way, which is a beautiful thing for you to understand, and you should be very excited about the future, is that Bitcoin is responding as a risk-off and risk-off asset. Let me explain. So when he made the announcement with the bond market, okay, that's a signal. Now those buybacks don't happen until I think September, but it's buy the news, sell the rumors. Buy the rumors, sell the news. So when he made that announcement, so smart money, this is what's happening. So smart money's like, uh-oh, the bond market's in trouble. So they start moving to gold, silver. That's all that's happening. Liquidity's just moving back. There's no real money in the system, guys. The debt bubble, the liquidity just moves from asset class to asset class. So Bitcoin responded as a risk-off asset like gold and silver, which is awesome. So have we ever had anything that has responded to risk-off and risk-on? So Bitcoin is responding in both aspects, and I'll explain why in just a moment. So what happened was Bitcoin surged, which Bitcoin is 60% of the market. It drove the market up. It was super exciting. I'm super excited to see your guys' excitement because it's excited. The bear market sucks, right? But I love the energy. I love seeing the energy and people getting excited again because it's fun. I mean, that's what I want to see is happiness out there. So Bitcoin goes up and then we go through the weekend. And then on Monday, he says he's doing an emergency meeting. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And I wish I could have watched it live, but when he made an announcement, he said, we're going to basically take Iran off the financial system. And then he said to any country, and I'm trying to articulate this, I don't want to speak out of school, but he said all the other countries, if you participate with Iran, we're taking you off the US monetary system. Now, we're going to stop for just a moment, okay? On our channel, this is not a political channel. I would get torn apart in a political debate, okay? I'm not a political guy. I'm conservative, right? If I was, if you would consider me a Republican, I guess. I'm concealed carry. I'm Christian, homeschool my kid. I'm as conservative as you can get, right? May look like a hippy dippy, but I'm pretty damn conservative. But my point is, politics don't give a shit if you can pay your bills or not. Okay, can we agree on that? Like left and right, money doesn't care about left and right. Okay, so what I'm about to talk about, I know people are going to get into the political part of it. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about money. I'm talking about the fact that our gas prices are through the roof. I'm talking about the fact that rent prices are through the roof. I'm talking about the fact that your grocery cart is way higher than it was in 2020. Okay, those are all facts. That's data. It doesn't matter if Trump's going to pull a rat out of a hat. It doesn't matter if Jassar is going to wipe it. The fact is, people can't pay their debt. They can't pay their rent. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed down. So I just wanted to state that before I continue on with this. So what I'm about to state is from a macroeconomic perspective and the data that we can look at. That's why I like Kevin Warsh, because he's data specific. He's not giving forward guidance. He's not jerking people off into the future. Excuse my language. He's like, this might happen. This might happen. It's like, listen, the data says inflation is high. The data says people can't pay their bills. The data says gas prices that's data, right? And if we operate off hope and hype, then you're not going to get anywhere. But if you operate on data, and so the data says that when Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent made that move, it didn't do what he thought it was going to do. So then on Monday, he's like, we have access to a $1 trillion war chest. Like, damn, they have $1 trillion they have access to that they can tap into and keep doing the emergency bond buyback, okay? And then he announced we're taking Iran off the US monetary system. If any of you in the world deal with Iran, we're cutting you off the system. Okay, now let's back up to when Biden took Russia off the SWIFT system. So when Russia invaded Ukraine, this is all connected. Russia invaded Ukraine, Biden took them off the SWIFT system. But remember, back in 2009, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa came together to de-dollarize. It's right there on they're here to de-dollarize. Okay, so then Bitcoin is created. Hint, Bitcoin is created in 2009. So then we come back to Russia being sanctioned off the US monetary system. And now they're working to do the same thing. So what's happening is, and I think what's happening, is that when Scott Bessent is doing these emergency buybacks, it's because people aren't buying US treasuries. That's a problem. That's a massive problem, guys. So think about this. The 30-year treasury is at 5.2%, okay? So what that means is if I take $1 million and I put it into a bond, that will be $1 million 30 years from now. I won't lose my value of my $1 million. And I'll get paid 5.2%. That's kind of attractive. That's 5.2%. That's, $52,000. I think if I'm doing the math, about $52,000 a year. So if someone has a lot of money, the smart money, the big money, right? Like, should I put it in Coca-Cola at 3% that goes up and down? Or could I throw it over in the bond market at 5.2%? So that sounds attractive, but something's going on where they don't think that's attractive anymore. That's your issue, guys. That's your problem. That the world is saying, even at 5.2%, I don't like your bond market. That is not good. That is not a good situation that we're in. So he's doing the buybacks. He was trying to bring the rate down, and he's going to do more emergency buybacks. So they're going to keep trying to fix the Ponzi scheme on the back end. And what they're doing is they're trying to raise the short-term treasury. Okay, so if you need, right, you got to fix the back end because that's broken, and they need more money coming in, right? Our system's a Ponzi scheme. They print, buy debt, sell it to us. Okay, so they have to keep this front end going so we can keep the monetary system going. I'll explain to you what I believe is happening. So short-term treasuries are where it's at right now. Right, so they're trying to raise the rates so that I could throw money in there quickly, get my money back out quickly, and we're funding the government, right? But the problem is, guys, our taxes don't even pay for the interest on the debt. We pay more in interest than we do in defense spending. That's when countries get out of balance. So when people are looking at us through the lens of macroeconomics, not politics, macroeconomics, and they're like, man, I don't really trust the US bond market anymore. So what are they buying now? Bitcoin. They're buying gold. They're buying silver. Japan and China have been dumping treasuries and buying record amounts of gold, China specifically. So we have to understand these things, and this is going to lead me into where I think we're going, okay? So they created the Genius Act in 2025. Genius Act. They're going to have the Clarity Act. I think it's going to pass in 2027. I'm excited if it passes in 2026. It's going to pass, so you don't have to worry about it. If you don't get caught in all the drama, it's going to pass, just like the Telecom Act took 3 years to pass. So you have the Genius Act that activates in January 2027, the rules start to activate, okay? The key to understand about stable coins is they balance out one-to-one by using mostly short-term treasuries. Genius. So that will keep the dollar alive, right? And the Russian parliament said it the best. They said that Trump is trying to suck all the debt up into the crypto cloud. That's what they're doing, guys. They're going to create stable coins. They're going to balance out the US treasuries with stable coins. Every country will have a stable coin. Every bank will have a stable coin. What does that operate on? Blockchain technology. Distributed ledger, crypto. It's all crypto. We're going into crypto. Bitcoin is not going anywhere. Please stop listening to people saying Bitcoin's going to zero. If you know who created it, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you can't beat it. Bitcoin's here to stay, guys. It's a store of value. It's a commodity. Okay. It's operating like a store of value, a risk on, risk off asset. Okay. So Bitcoin is going to be put on the balance sheets of lots of countries. And what's going to happen is, this is what I think is going to happen. There's going to use Bitcoin. If it grows 35% every single year, okay, I'm growing my balance sheet for my company and personally with Bitcoin and XRP. And I'll explain what I'm doing to give you guys honesty and clarity. Is they're going to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet. I think they're going to revalue gold and they'll just do an accounting measure and they'll buy Bitcoin. Okay. If Bitcoin grows 35% every year, could you imagine if you bought billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and it's growing 35% every year? You can start to grow your way out of the economy. Then they're going to bring in, listen to Kevin Warsh this Friday, okay? This Thursday to Friday at the Jackson Hole meeting. He's going to be giving policy recommendations for the future. And Jackie had shared with me, it's around technology, payments, right? What we're going into is they're going to bring in AI technology to increase productivity, to cool inflation. But here's the issue, is that when they increase, I don't care what these billionaires say, oh, it's not going to replace jobs. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I think it's 23 to 27% of students getting out of college right now cannot get a job because of AI technology. So think about this. So we are business owners. So we own businesses. It's getting more and more expensive to run our businesses. Think about this. If we could use an AI, what do they call AI agents? AI agent
Yes.
to do a job and to keep all our team members on board. Like, think about it's getting more and more expensive. We're about to have a meeting with, we have these buildings here. We have a meeting next week. I guarantee they're raising our rent. Guaranteed they're going to raise our rent. So we got to make some decisions, right? Do we want to stay here? Do we build our own building? What do we do, right? So these are decisions we have to make. But if we have to make these decisions where our rent goes up and we need to bring on team members, if we could use an AI agent that doesn't require any salary, which is the number one, we're going to do it. Think about that for just a moment, right? So we're going to use AI to be more effective, more efficient, more customer facing, things like that. But AI technology is going to increase productivity. It's going to cool inflation. Okay, it's going to allow them to stop printing, and they're going to start to put these deflationary assets like Bitcoin, XRP on the balance sheet, and they're going to grow their way out of the economy. So you should do the same thing. You should start building your same type of ecosystem. I don't care if you buy Bitcoin and XRP. What I care is you start to think differently. What I care is you start to think of every single dollar you earn is a soldier that needs to go to work. Okay? If you're sitting there with, hundreds of dollars in your hundreds, thousands, whatever it is in your bank account, it's literally losing purchasing power every single day. So what they're going to do is they're going to weaken the dollar. I promise you, they're going to weaken the dollar. They're going to suck everything up into stable coins. Okay, they're going to bring in these sovereign wealth funds. They're going to bring in Bitcoin as a strategic reserve because it's going to help them grow the way of the balance sheet. It'll balance it out a little. They're going to bring in AI technology. Do you think there was a lot of changes from 2020 to 2020? Guys, pandemic was 6 years ago. That went by fast. 10 years from now, you're going to be in a completely, that's why I do so many videos and I say, please save the video. After 2030, everything shifts. You're going to be in a completely new economy. The way we work, the way we communicate, the way we talk, the way we do things. AI started in 2023, guys. Look how radically it's transformed since 2023. What took 3 years is going to take 3 months. What took 3 months is going to take 3 days. What took 3 days is going to take 3 minutes. That's how fast things are going to get. So the things I would be doing is I invented what's called capital D arts trademark, okay? I would start to look at your model. Okay, I'd stop chasing hype. I'd start looking at your modeling. What does your modeling look like for your financial system? Okay, do you have any cash flowing modalities outside of your active income? Because the system is designed this where we have to just give up more time from our family, which is destructive, to get more income, right? That's the time-based system. Then we take our money and we put it in a bank. Okay, they dam it up, the bank dam it up, currency. Okay, then because you have income, they look at you and like, oh, you got a good credit score. Good job, buddy. So let me give you more debt. So then what they do is they tie you into scheduled payments into the future. And then what we do is we save what is left over. That's monetary slavery. So we save what's left over, but there's nothing left over because inflation is too high. They got us, guys. So all we got to do is reverse that. All you got to do is reverse it, okay? So when you get paid, you should be the first person that gets paid. Screw them, man. You should be the first person that gets paid. I don't care if you're getting paid $10 a day. You should take $1 and you should make it go to work. That's it. Use $1 to buy education. Use $1 to buy a dividend stock. Use $1 to put it aside to buy a business. Okay? You have to start turning your money into soldiers and put them to work out in active things that are going to, productive assets. Okay? Outside of your debts and non-negotiables. Now you may be in a position right now where you're like, hey, listen, I'm buried in debt. I can barely pay my bills. Okay. That you may have a period of hustle. Okay. I hustled my ass off from 2017. I mean, well, we're still hustling, but I've created a lot of parameters. I make sure, my kids are my family's my main priority. And I make sure I have dinner with them every single night. So I'm and the whole grind culture is a lie, guys. If you have to work 19 hours a day, it means you're not effective. I wasn't effective when I was working 19 hours a day. It's a complete lie you're being sold. Mm-hmm. If you're efficient in the amount of time you have and you focus on A times equals R, A activity times effectiveness equals results, and you discipleship, you do disciplined, consistent activities, you can have balance with your family. So anyways, that's a tangent. So I'm going to get to questions, but I just wanted to position all that for you guys. So that's why I talk so much about XRP. That's why I talk so much about Bitcoin, okay? Because they're deflationary by nature. Bitcoin is 21 million. 95% of supply is gone. 5% is left. No more can be printed. They only mine 450 a day for the next 116 years. It's kind of interesting. Fiat systems last 100 years. Treasuries are buying about 1,700 a day, so that creates a supply and demand issue. So I'm working to get, and guys, did you see the announcement today? Coinbase just announced that you can use your Bitcoin to leverage against to do the down payment with no liquidate. Let me read this real quick. I don't even know how they're going to do this. So I'll learn. I'm going to do a video on this tomorrow. It says borrowers in the U.S. can now use Bitcoin as collateral for a down payment without having to sell or face margin calls. That second part, I don't know how they're going to do that. But like, I'll be buying I told you guys I rent where I live and where I own, people rent. But I will be buying a primary residence here in the next 3 years, my forever home. And I've been saving for a down payment or to pay for the house cash. I'm putting in Bitcoin. If I can do this, I'm putting it in Bitcoin, right? So I got to figure out that second part. I'm going to do a little bit more research for you guys. So why wouldn't I put in Bitcoin? It's going to grow 35% every single year and then borrow for my down payment for my Bitcoin. And I'm borrowing and my asset is going up. Like, does that make sense? We have to think differently with the model. Okay. That's borrowing from a productive asset. And now you buy a home that I don't know if you guys heard my conversation around homes, and I'll explain this really quickly and then we'll get to questions. I'm bouncing all over the place. But I want to give you guys an example of home ownership, okay? This sucks to even bring up this example, but it's true. Okay, and I was finally able to articulate it because I'm experiencing it. So I have a rental property that's $600,000 and the payment is $4,000, okay? A payment shouldn't be $4,000 for a $600,000 property, and the house is not worth $600,000, okay? This is important. The house is now $600,000 because of your currency devaluation. That's why the brick and mortar isn't worth $600,000. It's because your currency has deflated. That's why the house is so expensive. That's how inflation works, okay? So I have a renter in that home, and the going rent rate in that area is $2,800. My mortgage is $4,000 on that home. So because I have businesses and active income and I need tax mitigation, it helps. It works out because I can take the loss. It's like taking a loss on a business, goes on my K1, it works out. But in the normal scheme of things, think about this. So it's better for the renter than it is for me, the owner. So she pays $2,800 a month and I pay $4,000 a month. So why would you own a home? Mm-hmm. She could take her down payment just like I did with my primary residence, and I put it into Bitcoin and XRP. I put $300,000 into Bitcoin and XRP into my down payment, and I'm letting that appreciate. And I take the gap because I'm paying $6,500 for my home, and the home is worth $1.9 million. The mortgage would be $12,000. I'm taking the extra $6,000 and I'm putting it into Bitcoin and XRP. So now Coinbase just comes out and says, now I can use my Bitcoin to do the down payment for my next primary residence. I'm going harder. I'm taking the down payment now that I've been saving and I'm putting it into Bitcoin. and then I'm borrowing against a productive asset to buy them, that's where it becomes a good investment, right? We have to, does that make sense? We have to start thinking differently. So that move that I made was, I was following Grant Cardone's model, and I struggled with it for a long time until the economy flipped. So think about that. It's better for her to rent the house than to own that house. She's making more money by renting the house, and I'm losing money by owning the house. That's how much our economy has changed. So
wow,
crazy stuff, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. That's a lot to take in.
Let's get into it.
All right. Let's get to these awesome questions.
Yeah.
The first one comes from Roger Bernal. Hello, everybody, by the way. It's good to see everybody here in the chat section being active. All right. So Roger asked, have you heard of CHPY dividend stock? Any thoughts?
I have heard of it. I know it's floated around our community quite a bit. Is that Chippy, right? Chippy. I don't have exposure to it, so I have no ability to articulate on it. But yes, I have heard of it because everybody always calls it Chippy. But I have not looked into it. I don't own it, so I don't have any articulation around it. But my community is in here, so if anybody has exposure to it, but I keep hearing that Chippy. That's the acronym for it. So
yeah, Chippy. All right. Next question comes from NXN Fab. Coach, I'm paying 17% interest on my truck. Do you think I should pull profit and pay it off, then use the payment to DCA back into assets or start an IUL? Thank you for everything. God bless.
Yeah, if you have the ability, if you're running 17% on a truck, oh man, I love that you're being open and honest about that. It's that so you got an asset that is depreciating, a truck that's depreciating every single time you get out on the road, and you're paying 17%. Okay, that is so a lot of people don't account for their debt when they're trying to build a growth asset base. So if you're paying 17% on this side I'm used to keep deflation stuck in my head, in a liability that's losing value, right? And you're only making 8% or 9% over here, then you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? So what I would recommend is, I don't know where your portfolio is at, but if you do have, so that's what I did when I had massive price appreciation. I paid off all my debt and I've stayed debt free because that 17% is so just take out all the assets and just think of that 17%. If that 17% is not a productive asset, you got to get out of that, right? And so I encourage anybody, we always talk about in the academy, if you have a huge liquidity event, get debt free. Get out of your credit cards, get out of auto loans, things like that. If you can have no personal loans on the audio side or things like that, banks hate me, by the way. I'm not anti-bank. We use banks, but it's like, it just doesn't make sense, right? You're better. I don't even have a personal car. I run all my cars through my businesses. I drove a hoopty I was a millionaire and I was still driving a piece of shit. It had duct tape on the top of it. We were going to do a joke video one time of I was going to put a cover on it and be like, reveal my new car. But I drove a car with duct tape on the top of it until I became a millionaire, man. So yes. So answer your question. I don't know what your other assets are, but if you do have price appreciation, get that 17% off your balance sheet.
All right. Next question comes from Justin. If I buy MSTY and WNTR to balance each other in equal amounts, and one of them goes up and the other goes down, should I sell the one that is higher to buy the one that has dropped?
Yeah, I stopped. We were trying to figure that out, and I would love to hear my team's perspective in here, but I buy both, right? So remember, guys, these are high risk, super high risk. These are not for net asset value growth. Pure cash flow extraction. I want to make that very, very clear. That's why I don't talk openly about my dividend stocks, because I'm crushing it on dividend stocks and buying XRP and Bitcoin, and I beat the net asset value erosion. I just wanted to put out those disclaimers, but I have both because I have the inversion, because it's going up and down all the time and they're trading all day. And so it's kind of hard, like in crypto, there's bear market and bull market, and it doesn't seem to be the same. It's like, because it's going up, all of a sudden it flipped and misty, right? And then winter, it goes down. So I have both, and I'm not selling out of one to buy the other. I can only tell you what I'm doing. So I buy both. I was leaning more towards winter in the bear market. Now I'm leaning towards more misty in the bull market. So hopefully that helps.
Okay, and Gonzo did add,
Did he perfect?
just my opinion, you do not want to be equally
there you go.
weighed. When MSTR bottoms, it will start going up, making MST go up.
There you go.
Markets are made to go up.
Yep. So
I like it.
that's Gonzo. So he trades right back and forth. I'm a
Back
set
and
it.
forth.
I'm a set it and forget it guy. I just hold, and I just, my brain doesn't compute like that. So like for example, Gonzo's a professional trader. He's amazing. So he'll move back and forth in assets. I buy and I hold. Like people WLFI, I'm still holding it. Like there's all this controversy. I still believe in decentralization. I believe Trump family's probably going to win. They're winners, and they're probably going to do pretty well with that DeFi platform. And I think it's going to do well. So I held it. And so some people are like, I'm going to sell off and buy. I stopped jumping back and forth, and I just I do and it just works good for me because it's my de-risking that is the best part of it. But so.
All right. Next question comes from Michael Bland. Do you think XRP is going back below $1.10 before the end of the year?
Man. So this is because things change, right? So I before Wednesday last week, when Scott Bessent did the emergency bond buyback, that changed everything, right? People were calling the bottom. We were calling that it was going to go lower. If they keep having this emergency problem with the bonds, I think we're off to the races. There's one of two things are going to happen. We're either off to the races, that was the bottom, and we're off to the races, which potentially could be, or if they figure the kind of bond cools down, the news cools down, and there's one other catalyst that brings it lower, I think we could. So again, I don't know if this, I don't think we're going to go any lower now. Like if the bond, I'll say that if the Iran thing and the bond thing, people are moving into risk off assets and Bitcoin keeps responding as a risk off asset, I think we're off to the races. And then depending on what happens September 15th, when they come back from recess around the Clarity Act and the CFTC stepping in on the 16th, there'll be a lot of bullish news around that. And I think we're only 5 weeks away from the end of the bear market. So yeah, so it's kind of, I'm talking out of two sides of my ass there, but it's important to understand because people are like, oh, you said it was going, well, I didn't know that Scott Bessent was going to do emergency buyback and it wasn't going to work. And that's why we dollar cost average on the way up and we dollar cost average on the way down. We don't wait. I buy it every week. Yeah. I don't wait for it to go to a certain price. I'm hoping it's going lower. If it doesn't, I've already bought every single week and every single day. So hopefully that helps.
All right. Next question comes from Michael Kyle. So if I'm in UK, do I pay tax in UK or USA?
If you're in UK, you would pay in UK. Yeah, you wouldn't pay in the USA.
I believe he's speaking like if he's an American citizen. Maybe.
Oh, so I'm in UK. Do I pay taxes in UK or USA? Are you living there or are you a permanent resident?
That's what I'm thinking.
I think based on your residency or your domicile, you pay taxes there. Like if you're actively, like if your bank account's there and stuff. So I would, and I think you mean crypto too. Crypto, you're going to pay based on the jurisdiction that you're in. So like if you live in UK, Puerto Rico, they're all different. So
yeah,
and state by state is different too, I think.
Yeah, it is. Everybody want their money.
Everybody want their money.
All right. Next question comes from Noni. What do you think crypto will be affected? Oh, okay. What do you think crypto will be affected with what Elon is doing on X with the instant money sending, or what XRP benefits since it's using the same system? So which crypto would be affected?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about XRP being, or if it's the same system or he's using XRP or anything like that. But it does show us where payments are going, right? Decentralization, like X money, like eventually I could use Coinbase as my whole bank, probably here in the near future, right? Yeah. You'll be able to use X money as your whole bank. That's why banks are freaking out, guys. Banks are like, oh shit.
Yeah.
They literally gonna have so many choices. Right. And so I don't know if there's any connection between X money and XRP. I think there's been some rumors around that. But I do think that it is the catalyst. All these little waves of like, X money, these types of things are the gateway to where we're going. And so this forces banks to innovate quickly. Like it's forcing them. They're all waiting for this Clarity Act, guys. Like, it's not all banks pushing back on this, guys. But you got to understand, Jamie Dimon, there's a reason why, guys. I came from banking, okay? There's a reason why Jamie Dimon has been the CEO for this long. Like, do your research. There's a reason why Jamie Dimon has been one of the longest standing CEOs of a financial institution. Jamie Dimon is the banker of bankers around the world. So is Larry Fink. These two are making some big decisions. So Jamie Dimon is out there pushing back. You know, there's it's not all banks are pushing back on this, guys. A lot of banks are trying to get into crypto and they're trying to innovate, but the Clarity Act's holding everybody back. And remember, the number one job of a bank, I ran banks, is risk management. If you don't have rules, you're not going to come into the ecosystem. You're just not. You're not going to be like, well, let's just go around the side here and see if we can. You're going to get smashed by regulators, right? So I think X Money is a good sign of where we're heading. I don't know if there's any connection to XRP. So that'd be cool though, man.
Yeah. I'm anxious to see what's going to happen with the whole Elon thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have their hands on their wallets. They're getting in the car, man.
What do you mean?
Like investing in whatever Elon is doing.
Oh yeah.
He's made a lot of people a lot of money.
I'm gonna start once Gonzo gives me the green light with SpaceX. SpaceX. Yeah, I'm gonna start a dollar cost average on that. So
yeah. I'm definitely in the car. All right. Let me see here. Also, a question from Justin. Mm-hmm. Also, crypto is up right now. What is a good asset to buy into? I'm currently invested into asset and MSTR. Cryptos are Bitcoin, XRP, Solana, and my dividends are MSTY, WNTR, STRC, STRF, STRK, and Chippy.
Yeah, you crushing it, man. I can only tell you what I'm doing. Like I'm not changing anything. I'm buying XRP, Bitcoin, and Solana. I'm just being open. I mean, I even posted some of my. I always post my buys pretty consistently on X. I'm buying as much XRP, Bitcoin, and Solana as I can right now. That's what I'm hyper focused. So the three things I'm hyper focused on: XRP, Bitcoin, and Solana, stacking my cash value life insurance, and silver. And I think it's important too. I want to say this to you guys because I want to share this wisdom. I used to have 27 different cryptos. And so we have, as a company, I'm so proud of our team. It's like our company, as investors, we have really matured, right? And so I think concentration and depth is much better than breadth. Is that the right word? Breadth, like spread out?
Yeah.
Breadth,
breadth.
Yeah. So I got really concentrated. I'm like XRP, Bitcoin, Solana, cash value life insurance, silver. And it has accelerated super fast. So until I see a price appreciation to a certain level that I don't feel it's viable for that asset to give me the benefit or my soldiers to work, I'm just going to keep doing that. So in the bull market, I'm dollar cost averaging buying every week. In the bear market, I'm dollar cost averaging buying every week. And then I'll start to exit when we start to have those big price appreciations. So just go deep, man.
Go deep. All right. Next question comes from Alejandro Martinez. With Bitcoin almost being 80,000, do you still recommend purchasing fractions of Bitcoin?
Great question. Yeah, I am. Well, let's look at it from two different. Let me explain to you why I'm using Bitcoin, and I'll explain to you the growth side of it. Okay, so if you're a new investor, let's just take two different asset classes. So if you had $10,000, and hopefully I'm not great at math. Like, believe it or not, I have dyslexia and stuff. So if I get the math wrong, don't beat me up. Okay. So I put let's say XRP was still $1 today. If I put $10,000 into XRP at $1, or I put $10,000 into Bitcoin, okay, if Bitcoin doubles, I'm going to get $20,000, right? If XRP goes to $10 with $10,000, what's the math on that? $100,000? I think it's 10,000. Let's see. Let's do some math. Let me use my calculator. Someone's going to clip this shit and make me look like an idiot. So if I had $10,000 into XRP, and I'm not telling you about XRP, I'm just giving you an example, and it goes to $10, you have $100,000. Okay. If I put $10,000 into Bitcoin and it doubles, I have $20,000. So would you rather have $80,000 growth on top of that, right? So that's the question. So if you're looking for growth, long-term growth or big growth, you probably want to go hyper concentrated into altcoins, right? So alternative coins that have that growth potential. I use Bitcoin as a deflationary asset, a store of value, and a supercharged savings. I mean, it's been growing like 35% to 50% every single year, right? There's a big range there, but it goes up and down. I think the average, it'll continue to grow about 35% a year. So I use it as a supercharged savings. Now Coinbase just announced, it's crazy that I can use it as an active. Anyways, we'll go into that. And then I'm going to use it to financially engineer into the future. So kind of like Michael Saylor's doing. So I'm building a base for my family with cash value life insurance, Bitcoin, and silver. So that's the base. I'm never going to sell my Bitcoin. But Coinbase just announcing that they're going to allow you to take a loan to do a down payment on a home with no margin call, which is crazy. I got to figure out that part. But if that's true,
what's the catch, right?
Yeah, what's the catch? I'm going to start putting more into Bitcoin because I'm going to buy a primary residence come up in the next 3 years. I have a very strict plan on that. And so I'm, saving. So I'm just going to put it all in Bitcoin and just let that stack up. So that will be used as a productive asset to buy my primary residence. That Bitcoin isn't going to get me my biggest bang for my buck. I might double my Bitcoin in the next 3 years, but the XRP potential is dramatic, right? So if you're using Bitcoin, silver, cash value as a store of value and stability and financial engineering in the future, that'd be a good move.
All right. Next question comes from Jacques.
Cool name.
Oh, yeah.
Jack.
Yeah, Jacques.
Jacques.
All right. Okay. Did you sell some XRP when it hit 50% up a couple of days ago?
Great question. Nope. I used my exit plan. So until it hits, the next target for me will be $5. So when it hits $5, you guys will see I'll post my exit. So I do it based on exit targets, not based on, I don't know if that'd be right way to say it. It's not based on the percent of growth. It's based on the target that I picked. So my first target was $2.70. When Trump got elected, I exited 10% of 50% of my portfolio. Next one is 5. I'll exit 25% of 50% of my portfolio. The next target is 7. I'll exit 25% of 50% of my portfolio. And I think we have the next target 14. And I'll exit 25% of 50% of my portfolio. And then we put a huge target for the last one, right? So that leaves me 50% just because everybody's like, well, so-and-so said it's going to $20 million. It's like, okay, cool. I still have 50% sitting there. If it does, I'm still really good. I'm not going to sit there and wait for that to happen. I'm going to take all that profit and I'm going to make it productive. Just like I did when Trump got elected, I got ridiculed for pulling profit at $2.70. And then I bought everybody who ridiculed me their collapse on 10/10/2025. So next target for me will be $5. I'll exit 25% of 50% of my portfolio.
All right. Next question comes from Natalie. Hey, Coach. Mm-hmm. I mean this respectfully and genuinely out of curiosity. Mm-hmm. As a Christian, how do you reconcile promoting cryptocurrency with concerns about the biblical end times picture of a one world system involving centralized control over buying and selling? I've personally invested in crypto before, but over time, I've become concerned that crypto could potentially be a part of that system. I'd really value hearing how you see it from a biblical perspective.
I really respect this question, by the way, Natalie. Thank you for asking it too, because it's a question I get a lot. And just to share with you guys, I would say I'm a new Christian, if that would be the word. I mean, I found my true depth in relationship with God in 2023. Because I started believing in Jesus Christ after my suicide in December 18, 2006. Now, what I mean by that is I started to see that there was something outside of myself that I could rely on. And I didn't know it was God. I didn't know it was Jesus. I went into Buddhism. And then I ended up in a non-denominational Christian church. I want to explain this. I think this is important. A lot of people haven't met me in my story. And so I committed suicide on December 18, 2006, due to a massive opiate addiction. We'll spare the whole story. And then I found a pathway. I was like, I wanted to heal myself. So I went to Buddhism. They didn't have the answer. That was the answer. He didn't have the answer. I was pissed off. I left Buddhism because he didn't have the answer. And it's me. And then then I went to non-denominational Christian church, kind of got lost in that. And then when I left corporate America, I became this hippy dippy dude, went to Peru, spiritual journey. And I started going off on all these pathways, like the Emerald Tablets and all this. And I'm just being honest with you guys. And I believed in Jesus and I believed in God, but I felt just all over the place, right? And then I had a pretty bad injury in 2023 and I had to sit for 6 months. I couldn't walk correctly. I couldn't run I was doing videos and stuff, but I met God in that moment in time. And I started diving into the actual Bible and someone encouraged me to read Genesis. And though I say I'm a baby Christian because D's amazing. He's been teaching me a lot about the Bible and I'm very grateful. But I'm dangerous enough to do my Bible study on Tuesday and to try to walk with the way, the truth, and life of Jesus Christ and embody that, right? Not try to preach that I'm this, but I do say how much I love God and how much I honor God because it feels right to me and it's changed my life, right? So when I started thinking about this, because this question has come up a lot because I do talk about God and I put my prayers on X and I I declare Jesus Christ as King, because the only reason I declare that, anecdotally, guys, since I started believing in Jesus Christ as my Savior and gave my life to Jesus Christ, and my life has changed dramatically. And so that's anecdotally. I can't prove you that Jesus walked on this earth. I can't prove it, but I do believe that he died on the cross for my sins. So then I started to feel a little bit convicted, because it's such a great question, because people are like, you're the mark of the beast. Not me. Mark of the beast. You're this. You talk about business. You talk about being a billionaire. And I was like, whoa. I felt convicted. So I went to the Bible and I started looking around at the Bible, right? And I started to notice how Jesus Christ always took the middle ground, right? He's like, so they came to him and they said, who do we pay our taxes to? He's like, who's on the coin? He's like, Caesar. He said, pay your taxes to Caesar, give to God what is his, give to me what is mine. So in that moment in time, I started to think about this. I'm like, listen, I'm going to honor God in everything I do. It's God, family, protection of my ecosystem at all costs. Everything else is none of my damn business, right? So, and I have a lot of growth too with my walk with Christ and Jesus Christ. And so I honor God in everything I do. I show up as best I can, walking with the way, the truth, and life. I'm a sinner like everybody else. And from there, God, I truly feel that God is aligning me with what my purpose is. And this is what my purpose is to teach people the wave of new technology and money and how to position themselves. But I do believe that through times, there's been that feeling every time a new technology comes in, there's something comes in. And I feel that God is the creator of all, and God is good all the time. So God created all of these things happening, right? God created somebody who had the ability to create Bitcoin. Bitcoin can be used for money laundering. Supposedly, they say that'd be an idiot if you just on chain, but it can use it a lot. They're like, it's trafficking, it's this, or it can be used as a productive asset to buy primary residence for my family, right? XRP was called the banker coin, and then now everybody's believing in XRP, right? So I stopped giving too much energy to these things within the 3D world, as whether it's Christian or not Christian. I started listening to my discernment and my relationship with God and how it feels. And for what I've seen is, it's radically transformed my family's life. I'm a better father. I'm a better partner. I'm a way better CEO. And so these are just tools that I see within the quantum field, and I don't give them that type of energy. Like when the whole Epstein thing came out and they're talking about Bitcoin, I'm like, we could say that about the dollar. Like people right now are in a strip club with dollars. I don't go to strip clubs and use dollars, right? So I'm not coming at you, I'm explaining this. And so I kind of released that, and I surrendered that to God. And I said, God, let me be a conduit to what you want me to be. And God has showed me I'm really good at financial literacy and financial education. And so when I teach that stuff, God has shown me that Bitcoin is something that I may I'm not saying like God told me to buy Bitcoin. What I'm saying is these are the tools that showed up within my life. And so I've accepted that as truth. And now maybe I go to the pearly gates like, you screwed up, JB. You own Bitcoin. You own XRP. Off to hell. I don't mean that facetiously, but I don't know. I'm not, and I'm sure if I could sit with somebody, but I just think that if I was to, and I think that's what Jesus Christ was talking about. People are grabbing onto this identity outside of themselves, right? And they're grabbing onto it's this, and it's the Pharisees, and it's this religion, it's this, and it's like, it's you, it's me, it's a tool. And so that's the way I look at it. I know it's a long response, but I just see it as a tool. I use discernment. It feels good to me. It feels right to me. I feel like the U.S. monetary system is a Ponzi scheme. And so I'm trying to trust something else that I can help my family in the future and maybe get my kids set up. So that's my answer. I don't know if it's the right one, but
that's a good answer.
So,
that's a good
love
answer.
You, by the way. Thank you for asking that.
Absolutely. All right. Next question comes from DJ Genius.
My man.
Coach, what is your outlook for the crypto market in the coming years compared to old cycles?
I love this question, man. So we always look at history to kind of look forward, right? So from my living experience, 2022, crypto dropped 80%. Okay. 2026, it dropped from 2025, it dropped 50%. So what we're going to see is we're going to start to see as volume comes in, the volatility is going to start to get sucked out of it. Now there'll still be a lot of volatility and a lot of growth because we're 2 trillion to God knows how much the market cap. Like if they tokenize all treasuries, blah, 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 the market cap's going to grow dramatically from I don't know what it's at right now, 2 trillion to whatever, right? So that's all our growth. the crypto cycle will start to have less and less of these massive price appreciations, right? So we'll have those pops of these ones like kind of Google, Amazon, but I think as we get into the next cycle, which is 2028 to 2029, it'll bottom out in 2029, I think it is, if I'm getting the math right. I apologize, or be 2030 maybe. I think the next 4-year cycle is going to start, maybe we'll have in 2030, if I'm doing the math right, sorry, Bitcoin halving's 2028, peaks 18 months later, then it starts to come down. So that'd be 2030. That drop might be 30%, right? So I think, John, each time it's going to get less volatile, which is, the volatility is our gift right now. And that's that. I try to preach that to people. The volatility is your gift. You want, I want XRP to drop harder before October 6th. I want Bitcoin to drop down more because I want to buy more for that slingshot up. So I think it's just it'll start to be more like the S&P years down the road. But
all right. Next question comes from Bulletproof Brains. When are you going to explain to us on the whiteboard the high dividend ETFs? You know, Coach, people tend to learn perhaps try option ETFs dividend.
Yeah, we can start using the iPad in the future, right? We have an iPad now. Yeah, so we'll start doing that. There's some things I won't, like when it comes to high risk, high return, that's the only thing I don't talk about my portfolio because it's, if you don't understand how I use them, because people can get wrecked in these things, man. They're high risk, high return. There's a risk pyramid, right? So I have a certain part of my portfolio. The reason why I can have a high risk appetite is because I have a monster ecosystem, tons of insurance, not tons of silver, it's about 1% of my portfolio. I'm happy with my Bitcoin. So I have all the safety over here so I can go play in the little casino over here, right? In the de-risking. So, but I would be more than happy to get the whiteboard rocking and rolling and start to model it out on what I do. Because I want to give all this information away for free, So if you want to come in the academy, we teach implementation, but I will show you guys for free what I do. But I just want to make that very clear. That's why I'm kind of cautious, because what people do is they come in and they're so focused on, going these high risk dividends when they don't have an infrastructure set yet, right? And their net asset value is eroding and they're not, they're using the money to live. And so that's why I don't talk too much about my actual portfolio, but I would be more than happy to use the whiteboard to educate deeper.
All right. Next question comes from Don. I'm almost at 10,000 XRP. 1,000 I'm staking on Flare Network, 1,000 on iTrust Roth IRA, a big chunk on iTrust PCA, and the other chunk on Tangent Wallet. What do you recommend as a next step?
I'm just looking 10K, 1K. I think you're looking good, man. I mean, the next step I think is, I guess the next question is, what is your plan? Like, so what is it? The next step would be, do you have an exit plan? I would say, because you got the Roth IRA, that's tax-free growth. Chunk on iTrust PCA. So so your treasury account, chunk on tangible. Do you recommend steps? I think you're looking good. In regards to setup, that's pretty badass, man. You got some on a hard wallet, you got some on your iTrust, that's a closed loop system. Sounds like you got 1,000 staking on Flare. I would set your exit plan up for the next bull run. So yeah, you're looking pretty good to me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next question comes from Mercoria. All right. Hello to both of you.
Hello.
What is the most safe app to buy crypto, and how can we keep it safe? I use Robinhood to buy stocks.
Yeah, me too. I use Robinhood to buy stocks. I use Coinbase, Kraken, and iTrust Capital. Okay. iTrust Capital is where I call it it's a treasury. It's called a treasury account. So I have a Wyoming LLC that has an EIN that owns a treasury account inside iTrust Capital. The reason why I use iTrust Capital is I trust them, no pun intended, is it's a closed loop system. So my main wealth is on iTrust Capital, anonymity with my Wyoming LLC. And if somebody hacks my iTrust, they can only sell it to me. So that's my legacy. I buy and sell mostly on Coinbase, right? So I have a Coinbase account. I use Coinbase One, gives me that $250,000 in insurance. And then Kraken, I just have a little bit on there, but I'm also going to set up a Wyoming LLC on there or a treasury account on there. And I'm going to have a little bit diversified because I like diversification. That creates safety as well. So that's what I do. Coinbase is safe to buy and sell. There's so much fear out there where people are saying, oh, exchanges. It's like, it's really your safety protocol. to be honest with you. It's like, Mario explains it the best. It's like, it's usually someone clicking a text message that they get, or a malware link, or, whatever it is. It's usually operator error that gets it stolen. I would rather work with companies like Coinbase that are huge companies. It's when you get to these off-brand exchanges, you've seen hard wallets get hacked and things like that. So Robinhood stocks, you can't steal stocks. I mean, it's really hard to screw up that, right? And then Coinbase, I feel comfortable with it. I use Coinbase. It's like, it is expensive, but to me, it's worth it. I have $250,000 insurance on my crypto. So when that goes over 250, I transfer it into other areas that are protected. So, and then my iTrust and my Kraken, like, I don't even have it on my phone. So it's really hard to get.
All right. Next question comes from Ezo Murray. What is the best dividend stock you have currently?
Well, I would say the best dividend stock, I would say the most balanced one, right? Everybody wants to hear about my high risk, high return ones, but they're paying well, right? I have tons of that. But the best, if you want to say best overall balance, is STRC. Okay. And if you don't believe in Michael Saylor or Bitcoin, don't even touch it. Don't even touch it. Yeah. So STRC is like a bond. Say I put 100 grand in, that'll generate about 1,200 a month, 1,200 a month, which is crazy. That's like a rental property, right? So if I put 100,000 in, I can generate about 1,200 a month off about 11 to 12% interest. But that's cool. It's operating like a bond. It's a preferred stock. So basically, in a year, I potentially could have it pegged to $100, and I would still get my $100,000 back, and I would have generated $24,000. Also, the beauty in it, it's not like a bond. It's not locked up for 30 years, 4 years, 3 years, 5 years. I can actually liquidate it at any point, right? So, for example, we had a warrior that talked about this. She was like, she wanted to make some moves. So the beauty in it is it had depegged a little bit down, and then she waited till it depegged up, repegged up, and then she pulled, so she didn't lose her net asset value. She got her profits from her dividends, and then she went and bought her assets. So that one I would say would be the most balanced. I love what Michael Saylor's doing. I think he's basically a genius in regards to financial engineering. So,
all right. Next question comes from Scott Forrester. Is the real world FindX your tool? Just making sure it's not a scam site. I know that it isn't, but I wanted to post this just so we can touch on that real quick.
Yeah, it's a scam site. Yeah, 100% scam. Yeah, we do not invest people's crypto. We will never DM you about your crypto. Pay attention to the title. So it's Coach JV _. We are verified. And we are spending high six figures to battle this. Just so you guys know, we brought on a company that deals with Netflix, ESPN. We are putting our money where our mouth is. We're working to fix this. We're one of the most impersonated in the financial space, which is crazy. So yes, so that is a scam. You don't need a Web3 wallet. Web3 wallets are a scam. If you see a video where I'm in the corner pointing up like this, or any influencer, those are scammers. That account is a scam. Block them, report them. So you'll see Crypto Wendy, Coach JV, trying to think of other influencers. You see us sitting there, we're pointing up. Jay Claver, there's a lot of people imitate him and they're pointing up, and there's some person in the corner. Those are all scam accounts. So yes, thank you for asking. Do not send them anything.
Yep, and that is Coach JV's handle on the screen right now in that lower third.
Yep, that is our own
Coach
handle.
JV _. All right, let me get that off of there. All right, next question comes from Doug. How do you put stuff in an LLC to protect it?
Great question. So a lot of people use Wyoming LLCs. It's digital asset friendly. Wyoming is one of the most, also anonymity. Those are two big things. So you go to we use KKOS, Mark Kohler, Matt Sorensen, phenomenal attorneys. I think I would only deal with them. I might be biased because they set up a whole ecosystem, but thousands of our warriors have used them. They're amazing, and they're the best. So you get a Wyoming LLC from a legit attorney, right? So you get the Wyoming LLC, and then you have what's called an EIN, just like starting a business. So now you have an EIN, okay? So that Wyoming LLC is like that's the hub now. And so then you go to a place like Kraken, Coinbase, iTrust, and you set up a business account or a treasury account, okay? So then the EIN, instead of your social, is the account, okay? So then you buy and sell just like you normally do, but you're buying underneath the Wyoming LLC, okay? So if something happens, you consult your attorney or lawyers and stuff, but if something happens, it's much more unlikely for someone to get to that because it's protected, because they're looking for you, and your Wyoming LLC is an entity. Does that make sense? So I have a trust that owns a Wyoming LLC that owns my crypto, my legacy crypto, and it owns my real estate. So if something happens, they're looking for Coach JB, not Coach JB, John Boscus, that's my name. And they're like, oh, he has his personal crypto. Okay, that's at risk. My business is at risk. But then they come over here. It's like, oh, there's a trust. Okay, he owns that trust, or he's a trustee. And then they go down, and there's a Wyoming LLC that owns my crypto. It owns my real estate, right? So then it's like, oh shit, he doesn't own that. The trust owns that. Okay, so just to recap, get a Wyoming LLC, get an EIN. It's very easy. It sounds difficult. Go to Kraken, Coinbase, iTrust. You take that EIN, that becomes your social, and then you open up the account under the Wyoming LLC. And you'll have a name for that, whatever you want to call it. So,
all right, let's get one more in.
Let's do it.
All right, next question comes from Sid. Hola from Puerto Rico. Coach, what is the story with WLFI? Should we hold or sell?
Great question. Here's what I think is happening. I have no insight and no influencer does. When I see, so let me share with you. I'm holding it. I'm not selling it. I'm not accumulating it because it's just a little funky right now on what's going on. But here's some truth for everybody out there. When you see a coordinated, very consistent wording attack on one crypto institution or human being, there's usually some coordination behind that. Okay, so that's what I felt, and that's what I saw, and it didn't. I used discernment, just like I went through the whole conversation. Like, it felt weird to me. It's like something's off here. Okay, something doesn't feel right here. Okay, so it seemed like a coordinated attack, and then it's always coordinated around certain times. Trump's at the White House again. Justin's son kicked off again, and I'm like, I don't know. So I'm not going to rush out of it. I'm going to hold it because it's so cheap. I accumulated so much of it. I'm just going to hold and see what happens when all the dust settles. And I think, we're going into the bull market. And if I do see massive price appreciation, I'm probably going to get a big portion of it. And I'll get a big portion off the table and then put it into assets that I know, like XRP and Bitcoin. But I'm holding the line. I don't trust, it doesn't feel right to me. It feels kind of scammy. The attacks, it feels off to me. And so that's why I encourage men, head of household, women too, but men of household, get your shit together spiritually, physically, financially. You can develop discernment. Like, something feels fishy about that, and I don't make my decisions based on emotion on X. So I'm holding, seeing what happens, and if there's any further changes, I'll let you guys know what I do.
All right, Coach, let's wrap it up.
Awesome. Flew by. Well, first of all, thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity to share this knowledge with you guys. We do not take that for granted. I pray every day for wisdom. Every day I wake up, I pray for wisdom from God to, give us the wisdom, the knowledge, the right words, the right, research to bring it to you guys. So I would be remiss by not saying I'm grateful to you guys and that you are here with us. We don't take that lightly. I want to say thank you to Dee. I want to say thank you to my team. We have a whole team that makes this happen. But I also want to give you some words of encouragement. It's the biggest thing I want to express to you guys is, it's going to be okay, man. It's going to be okay. And I highly recommend you go to Google and look up the definition of future, okay? The definition of future, and I'm going to repeat this a lot to you guys, is the definition of future is the moment after the present. Sounds obvious, right? But is it really that obvious? If the future is the moment after the present, then why is everybody waiting for the president? Why is everybody waiting for a savior to come out of the sky? Why is everybody waiting and wait? When I have enough money, I'll go to school. When I have the perfect setup, I'll have a baby. You already are ready, okay? You already are powerful. You already are worthy. You already are a multimillionaire. And then what you do is you go to the Bible and you look at what Moses did when he went up from the burning bush, and he tells him everything wrong with him, and God's like, no, the great I am sent you. That I am, okay? Then you start saying, I am powerful. That I am. That's the words, okay? The power of life and death is in the tongue. That's the word. Then you take the word and then you embody it and you feel it and you understand it and you feel as if it already exists. So you say it, I am a millionaire, that I am. But then you take it deeper into the heart. Dr. Joe Dispenza, bring it from here down into the heart to feeling. When you say, I am a millionaire, that I am, you need to feel it. You need to close your eyes. You need to spend it. You need to grow it. You need to help people. You need to do all those things. You should even feel the frequency. Imagine like saying, I want to buy a house for my parents. And you literally walk up to the door in your mind. Imagine handing the keys to your mom. Go through that feeling, the frequency, the vibration. I am buying a house for my parents. That I am. And you feel it. That's the feel. That's what it means by the future is this moment after the present. There's nothing else that exists. We're all here on here. There's 1,500 people. This is all our present moment. There's billions of people out having a different present moment at this moment in time. So the decisions you make from this call off, spiritually, physically, financially, that will be your future in 5 years. So when I sit with a man I'm coaching, I'm like, show me your debit card transactions, your web browser, and your social media feed, and your DMs, and I'll tell you where your future is going to, and your friends, and I'll share where you're going to be at in 5 years. It's very simple. It's very simple. So what they do is they blame and they do, it's like, no, it's your discipleship, your decisions over the last 5 years that created your life. So if you don't like where you're at in your life, that's okay. Do something different. What activities do you need to change? If you don't like what you look like physically, then you need to get in the gym. You need to get a plan, right? If you don't like where you're at financially, okay, well, be grateful for where you are because you learn the lessons you need to learn and don't repeat those cycles, but build some wisdom. Like say, okay, because knowledge is not power. Knowledge enacted upon becomes wisdom. That's power. Knowledge is just knowledge. There's a lot of college professors that teach about business and never ran a damn business, okay? That's knowledge. They went to school to become a professor in business, but have never been in the trenches getting the shit kicked out of them. And there's book smarts and then there's street smarts, right? You said it this morning. Go out there and fly the drone.
Go out there and do it.
Fly the drone. Go out there and make the investments, make the mistakes, buy at the peak. Ooh, that didn't feel good. Okay. You haven't lost because you haven't sold. Now you know what a peak looks like. Now you know what it feels like to go through a bear market. Key, you know what it feels like. The drone, you know what it feels like. You can read all day, you can study all day, you can articulate all day, but until you get in the trenches, until you activate, until you build self-reflection and understand that the future is just the moment after this present. You can do this. So I want to encourage you, you can do this. Okay, now we're going to go into a bull market over the next maybe 24 months to 2 years, right? It's going to get exciting. Don't get played. Take the middle ground. Build a system that keeps you calm. And then when it collapses, your system feeds in the red. So study our capital DR system. C is cash flow. A is appreciating assets to beat inflation. P is protection. Okay, and L is leverage, using your own family banks to turn $1 into $2. We've actually trademarked it. It's a worldwide system that's helped over 16,000 people, and we'd love to help you next. I love you guys. Appreciate you.
Coach, hold on real quick. Let me share this. The Holy Spirit's telling me to share this. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7 says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. There it is. For whoever needed that, God heard you. There it is.
Yes and amen.
All right.
We'll leave it at that. Warriors, rise. Get your shit together. Let's go.